again, and we are back again for another powerful edition of Vantage View. I'm the host, one of the hosts, Sister Khadijah, along with our spectacular Dr. Bowles, and we're going to go ahead and just start it off from the top. Remember, it is customary in the African tradition that before we speak to the community, we get approval from one of our elders. So I'm going to ask one of our elders to give us permission to speak. Okay, thank you so much, my sister. And also today, don't forget Imani Temple number 49, 31st anniversary. Imani Temple number 49, 31st anniversary. And there is a spectacular program that's going on at 7 o'clock tonight. There's also another celebration tomorrow and Sunday. So we're asking people to participate, and I really can't read the name of the guest besides Archbishop John Milton. I just can't read his name, but I'm pretty sure you can. All right, so Dr. Bowles, so we left off with this gentleman.
Well, let's recap.
Go ahead and recap.
Because in hearing his question, it was two parts. First hour, we talked a little bit about the laws by what Jeff Landry is doing, and he highlighted, this caller was highlighting marginalization. And for those who may not understand, when you are included, you're not marginalized. You know, if I were having a dinner and you came to my house and I started preparing a plate and put it down in front of you, you are included. But if you came into my house and I was eating and I ignored you and continued eating and would pass my, you're laughing because I know people have done that, and I pass food to the person at the table and talk to them and totally leave you standing there watching me eat, that's called marginalization. So he was describing that by having the mandatory 80% sentence before he can get good time is further marginalizing particularly the Black Americans who are incarcerated. Because first of all, the reasons of being incarcerated in Louisiana are specious, meaning it's whatever the whim. We talked about, and we didn't go into great detail, you mentioned to me earlier, and you and I talked about in New Iberia, an 11-year-old girl was arrested for first-degree murder and is still in detention or in holding over 100 days. She's been held. And another young man, age 14, killed a young person over some trivia, and they just said accidental homicide or accident, and he served no time that we know of, and he's getting on with his life. And at the University of Lafayette, I think you were telling me about a student.
Yes.
You want to tell him about it?
Yeah, a student in Lafayette, evidently some guys had then broke into his truck, and they were running from the scene of the crime. And when he seen that, he took out his weapon and he shot all three of them. He killed one of the young men. He killed him. He paralyzed the other young man, and the other young man wind up recuperating somewhat from his from his injuries, but he wasn't in any jeopardy because they were running away. And how do you almost took three people's lives away because they stole a wheel off of your vehicle? How do you
worse
do
than that, or equally specious, is a white male did the shooting.
Yes.
The three young men that suffered
were white.
But the young man, because he was a student at a university, received what penalty? What was his punishment?
They sent him to the facility in St. Martinville for about less than 2 years, about 2 years, and then from that, and the judge was the one that complained about the judge was the one that complained about, it was a black judge. He was the one that that if you went into his courthouse, his courtroom, if you had gold teeth, he would like tell you, you go pull out
Go
those
take
gold
your
teeth.
grill off.
Right, go take your grill. Right, and stuff like that. And trust me, he wore a toupee, but nobody was
Telling him go take your hair
right.
off.
Nobody didn't tell him to do that. God dog it, I got him at the tip of my tongue.
But I'm just saying, when we have black people in authority, sometimes
you.
they can be worse.
That's right.
Than the worst white prejudicial person. Because coming from, well, look at Clarence Thomas. In looking at his story, how his childhood was really rough. He was poor. He grew up, said he was bullied at school. He was made fun of and called too black. So now he is like a nemesis to black people in a position where it can really hurt black people.
That's right.
So, prejudice is not reserved for white alone.
Oh, no, indeed not. No, indeed not. And then not only that, but he was the type of law that he helped implement. He was also when they give those young students like college voucher and stuff like that, he benefited from. I can't think of the. He benefited from it.
And isn't that the way?
Yeah,
they're the ones who got advantage for being black and being the token, and then they flip around and prevent anyone else from having a chance to advancement when they have an opportunity to get scholarship or recognition. I mean, it's sad, but so true. And many of us know very well that black on black prejudice is live and well. And it's more intense because they have an insight. It's like a family member knows how to hurt you because they know your weak spots.
And look, and I wanted to, check this book out. This is Burden of Truth. And that's by Robbie Carrier Bethel and Kim Malcolm. In the book, she outlined over and over with documents from the courthouse. She outlined from the documents from the courthouse of what they stole, who stole it. She gave you all of this.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
The Romeras, and I could remember that, and it took her almost 20 years to try
Who's our author? What's our author's name again?
This is Robbie Carrier Bethel. Right.
Okay.
And Kim Malcolm. Well, it's talking about New Iberia at its finest form, because there's about 4 or 5 folks. When I say folks, 4 or 5
cases.
white families that have just about destroyed New Iberia, where they would steal land, they would steal property, and
corruption at a level.
Corruption at its finest. And I remember Glenn Romero, this other guy. His name was Joseph. Joseph was a field hand that worked for Glenn Romero. Joseph went after that hard day of work. He went jump in the pool at Glenn Romero house, and Glenn Romero drained the entire pool, and he has homes that's next door to him for his children, but yet y'all stole millions of dollars. It could be in the billions right now, Robert. They stole all this money from y'all and everything, and still can live their life. Then when they finally go to court, and Judge Sigi, who is apparently what's on his birth certificate got to be a black fool, but he took and he stated that their time had expired. The time had expired, but all
statute of limitations.
Right, but all of the millions of dollars that they stole.
No, let me tell you, Sister Khadijah. See, this now you're hitting my piano note. And you're someone who can sing, and you hit a note, and all of a sudden I'm awake. This is the difference in what black Americans versus white Americans. And when I talk to the legal system where we have these young black lawyers who are getting their JD here in America, learning the laws, I'm saying, why is there no coalition, no strong group that is actually refuting and bearing out? Now, I don't know the persons who wrote this book, whether they are lawyers or not. I do have a good friend. I've mentioned Professor Angela Bell. She just got her book out. Unfortunately, I don't have a copy yet, but I plan to.
Okay.
And she is considered a Constitution scholar. She's a black female at Southern University.
Yes,
She's the
yes.
one who went to argue a non-unanimous jury should not be able to put a person in prison for life or even to get a death sentence, and she won that argument. So that was one of the things where in Louisiana that got corrected. But my comment is, when you make laws, as our last caller was saying, and you are above that law, then you can say whatever you want. Anything you want to be a crime. And believe me, Louisiana has had it. Recently, in reviewing some of what I call the antiquated or outdated laws in Louisiana, and I hope my scholars will go check it, that it is a crime for a swarthy female, I guess that's a mulatto or Acaroon, I don't know, swarthy, to walk down Canal Street in New Orleans in fine millinery because she's too much of a temptation. On a Sunday afternoon, I have to give you that, on a Sunday afternoon, because she's too much a temptation to white gentlemen.
White gentlemen.
Yes. So I suppose, if you are a swarthy lady and you have a hat that you'd cock on one side of your head the way my mama would do, and put your gloves on and wear stylish shoes and walk down Canal, that law has never been really removed from the books. So when you're talking about specious arrest, you can be arrested. Now, I just don't know what exactly a swarthy lady is.
Right.
I don't know if I constitute a swarthy lady or not.
Well, they got to be talking about
a woman of color. So
right, a brick house,
But that's what I'm saying. That's some lady who, would be going to Jackson Square, someone who's living off of, but that's the terminology, swarthy lady. But keep in mind, in the slavery days, we were broken into all kind of colors. There's a red bone, there's an Acaroon, there's a mulatto, so I don't know exactly where swarthy fits, but keep in mind, if you have on fine millinery, I guess it's a hat and gloves and your proper shoes. I guess you'd have to wear pantyhose. I have to laugh because young women today say, oh no, it's too hot for pantyhose. But there was a time a well-dressed woman wanted her nylon or silk stockings. And I'm sure, it may be hot in Louisiana, but it's always been hot in Louisiana. Yeah. So they have antiquated laws still on the books. So just to run through this before we get to the political, because we did promise you political, we talked about Sonia Massey, and we want to make sure we talk about that. Devontae Mitchell, that's a young man that security guards beat to death. Now, this happened just this month. Okay, and he died of asphyxiation. In other words, and it wasn't a policeman, it was a security guard who worked at a hotel. And they started beating him, dragged him outside, and that's where this comment comes. Once outside the hotel, the security guards is like you and me. They have no authority.
Right.
The security guard knelt on the young man's throat and on his chest until, quote, real police arrived, and during that time the young man suffocated. So it's all over again, the George Floyd situation. So that was just this month. We talked about Michael Brown. There's some investigation of how a grand jury could find the policeman justifiably shooting an 18-year-old person that's unarmed. He said he felt threatened. So it gets back to Emmett Till. A white female say he whistled at her. That means she felt threatened. So America, have we changed? The question I put there is, what do these killings mean to black Americans? What does that mean when you hear that this is still repeating 4 years ago, this month, 10 years ago? What does that mean to us? What do you think? How would you respond?
I think it's complacency at its finest form, but at the same time, they continue to do this type of killing. They continue to do this type of killing because they know they could get away with it. When Sonia Massey, a mother, had said, "Don't y'all send no redneck, don't y'all send nobody like that," it didn't matter because that's about all who they have on their force. It's about all who they, and the men that would have challenged them, our strong men that would have challenged them, they under some type of judicial system or incarcerated. Jamila, you could put the camera on.
The speaker, yes.
Yeah, and so that's a problem. That is really a problem, and it's no way that they would be so comfortable time after time after time, and they told you that there's no bars. I mean, no bars hold. It don't matter if it's a young man, a young woman, a child. It doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter. But because there's no repercussion, that no consequences. Oh, because you have that badge where you think you're indispensable, and you are, because you're always hearing about the white man, the white sheriff.
A lot of people don't know that having the badge gives you qualified immunity. Now we have a caller who wants to get in on some stuff.
Okay. Caller, you have a question or comment? You're on.
So someone call back. A great subject matter you to move back into. Just think about it, and you just mentioned about there's no filter the way law enforcement polices neighborhoods, but certainly people of color are being policed in such a horrendous way. Now, if you look at the case in Lafayette where the young lady was on television the other day, the young baby named Casey, who was basically, from the description of the mother, her head was blown, top of her head was blown off in a police action in the house, and how no transparency, just disregard for the family feeling after a year where she had attorneys dropped out of the case. And she don't have any answer. How did her child die in that home? How police can do things with impunity. Now, look at what Jeff Landry did. And look at what I just called on the first hour about police immunity, whether it's qualified immunity, whether it's dealing with civil actions or criminal action. Jeff Landry and the Republicans, they study this stuff in order to get law enforcement more in their favor. They highlight law enforcement. They say they're going to protect law enforcement. So therefore, they become the tool of white supremacy, Sister Khadijah. They become the tool because look, the first law was the immunity law. Then the other one was the 25 feet, where you supposedly is about you interfering with police. There are already laws on the book like that. So what they do, they make a law and they run it through the Louisiana legislature. The law is basically to protect the other law, to pile on laws on top of laws. So the only and even all the way up to the Supreme Court with what the situation was given to the president. They are already banking on protections, and that is the problem, Sister Khadijah and Dr. Bowles, that we have to deal with. We got to figure out how we're going to do this legally, short of, and I'm going to say this, short of a revolution. So I want to hang up and great show. Y'all keep up on the subject matter. Thank y'all so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Brother G.
Well, I just saw what you showed me. That's just outrageous. You can't even imagine that your child is dead, have been brutalized, and you can't get any answers.
No answer, and it's going on a year. You were able to see the baby,
the picture of a baby. Now, you're saying the baby was shot by law enforcement?
Yeah, she sure was. She was shot.
And no one has addressed how, why, what? So sometimes it was an interesting comment that was made. I don't know how I caught it. I can't give credit to whoever said it. But their comment wasn't talking about crime and blacks and whites in particular Louisiana law, but they were saying sometimes when there's a group that's so focused on detail, they lose strategy. And it made me think, aren't we like that? Black people will get in the street and riot after a George Floyd. Or we will say Black Lives Matter, after the young man in Florida, a 14-year-old was killed. But those are reactions. And yes, it's horrible, it's painful. But when something has happened more than once, then there needs to be a strategy.
Oh, yes, definitely.
So my question when I asked about lawyers in Louisiana and in the United States, particularly black lawyers, those should be our statisticians.
That's a good point. We need to go ahead and send them the show. That's a good point.
Well, while we're talking about that, real quickly, the Brave Cave. Did we mention the Brave Cave?
We didn't mention the Brave Cave.
For those who don't know, the Brave Cave is a Baton Rouge interrogation center, purportedly closed down now 1 year this month, and that the FBI is supposed to be investigating it. Yeah. But it is a Department of Justice funded warehouse where black people were strip searched.
That's right.
And they were never charged with a crime.
Right. That's right. Strip search, cavity search, you name it. And they wasn't charged. And they were able to get away with that because it's nothing in the news that we've heard of.
Well, first of all, the department denied it. The chief of police said, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about." And then when a lawyer in several local TV stations in Baton Rouge area pointed out, they said, "Oh, that was a warehouse. I don't know what it is you want to call it. Here's what happened." And my understanding is there's at least 5 cases now with lawsuits filed, and some talk about a class action. But it was the police chief, Murphy Paul. He and his staff denied that it existed until they literally showed it. And then they said, "Oh, well, that's not what it was originally set up for." Who cares if that's what it's originally? It says, and it has been turned over to this particular special group that was called Baton Rouge Area Violence Elimination, and that's the word BRAVE. B for Baton Rouge Area Violence Elimination. For BRAVE, BRAVE. So it's interesting that they said FBI is involved, and they've had a year now that they have been asked to investigate. So where do we hear back? Yeah. Who gets information from the FBI?
That's the same thing with Ronald Green. And they claim that he was in an accident, and it wasn't until the state trooper. God, I can't think of the state trooper name. I remember the case. Yeah. He took and he said that he had overheard them talking, so he decided to go and look up the computer, and what he found that they beat him to death.
Well, see,
crucified him to death.
That's back to the Sonia Massey. See, one of the deputies didn't turn his camera off. Now, the person who did the shooting turned his camera off. But there was a fella deputy in the room who didn't turn his camera off. So there was evidence to show she had no weapon, had no attempt for weapon, and that's why the man was fired and charged with first-degree murder.
That's right. And the boiling water that he apparently said that he
all you have to do is dodge it. I mean, he's not tied up. Can he not run? I mean, I can threaten you, but I'm going to do more harm to me if I try to throw hot water on you. Unless I got you restrained.
He looks like you.
Well, I heard the tape, and then she said, "Devil, get behind me," or something like that. She rebuked the devil, and that's when he shot her. So he proved he wasn't.
Shot her, called her all kind of names, and be this, be that, and
he came in for some reason wanting to kill her, and I don't understand how that's okay. I don't know any term that can justify it. But, okay, we're now in our second hour.
Yes, we're in the second hour.
And we're going to talk about the state of American politics.
Okay, yeah, we need to mention something.
So to transition, let me just throw out some stuff to get your juices running, audience. Whatever happened to George Santos? You remember the guy who everybody starts laughing when you call his name. He ran and got elected to Congress, and he's a transvestite in Brazil. His parents were part of Hitler's, that he said he was a Jewish family, and the Hitler had persecuted his family. He played volleyball at a college he never attended. So my information says he's been charged with 23 charges that involve stealing people's identities, charged with using other donors. When they donated to his campaign, he used their charge card. Like if I say you can have $25, here's my charge card number.
Right.
He took the number and went and had meals off of it. He didn't just take the $25, he took the card. So he has 23 counts against him, and his trial is to start in September. But he actually tried, after they expelled him from Congress, he tried to run again on independent ticket. He didn't run as a Republican, he ran independent. So it's not enough to be caught. It used to be, when I look at my childhood, you get caught and the person drops their head and they feel shamed and they don't want their mother to know, or they're ashamed, they don't want their dad or grandma to know.
Right.
There's no shame. Khadijah, what happened to the shame?
Right.
It's almost like a badge of courage. Look at, and we'll get to our Donald Trump, but he has 34 felony counts and he wears it like a badge. But before we get to to Trump, Clarence Thomas, we talked of him briefly, and I told you a story of when he grew up. He had a rough childhood, was treated badly, bullied, I understand. Someone told him that he was too black, that part of it, and that's the thing we talked about, black on black. Too often, and I know it was certainly in my neighborhood and in the family as well, some people have what they call color struck. Have you heard the term?
Yeah.
So help me out. Tell the people what you think, what you know color struck to mean.
Oh, I think color struck is, the lighter you are, the easier things are going to be for you. The darker you are, the worse that thing's going to be for you. Because I know in my home, I had my sister, one of my sisters was like dark complected, and they used to always want to clown her, like calling her black, blue black, and to me, I was more black than she could ever been, but then they would see things.
The cultural sensibilities. I got you.
Right. If you white, you're all right. Light, you're all right. Black, step back. They had some kind of little saying like that.
Okay. Well, that's what they're saying, that he was. My first introduction of even knowing if black was good or bad, I remember as a child, a brother of mine has a beautiful, rich, dark complexion. It's like, I call it Hershey bar brown.
Ooh, yeah.
It's that red chocolate brown, yummy. And he and I were playing with some children who were Native Americans. And we were innocent in that age, the whole concept of black, white, and whatever, and this being a Native family. We didn't think. And the little girl, I think she had a crush on my brother, and I remember she said to him, and she said, "Wash your face." So my brother ran over and turned the faucet in his outdoor, "Hey, wash your face." And he come back, and she's standing and she's doing this. And she said, "Wash your face." And it's only now, years later, that I can comprehend what might have been going on.
Right.
That she obviously thought he needed to wash the dirtiness, but he would run over, innocent, and wash his face and come back, and we'd all be playing again, and she'd be waiting. But she said, "Wash your face." I think of that sometimes, that, even in innocence, she saw the difference, and she didn't put a negative or positive unless her mother would make her go wash her face if she had chocolate or candy or something on. But I remember that now, and I laugh about it because we played harmoniously, but I remember the day she would look at him and she would do her head and tell him to go wash his face. So Clarence Thomas, from all we can tell in the history I was able to dig up, have a strong self-hatred because his first wife was not white. He met her in college. Did you know about that? Yeah, he had a black wife, and they were divorced. And then when he met Jenny, his present Ku Klux Klan pro-Trumper wife, her comment was, "Oh, he was so sensitive to me, and he did cute little things." And this is what got me. Now, this is a woman who's a millionaire, right? He bought me a charm bracelet with all these little cute teddy bears and things on it. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm a grown woman and some man is buying me a charm bracelet, I'm not going to think that's really cute.
Right.
That just sort of like, okay, is that the way, level? But keep in mind, when he was being pushed for Supreme Court, Anita Hill came forward, just like Stormy Daniels. And she told him he was rude, he was crude, he did sexual innuendos, he kept insisting she should go out with him, and he wanted to talk to her about sexual things, something he even said about his penis. It was just lewd and crude, and they ignored her. And here's the thing, guess what senator was pushing Clarence Thomas and ignoring? Ready? Joe Biden.
Okay.
It was Joe Biden. When I saw it, I was like, whoop, whoop, there you go, Joe, whoop, whoop. He trying to come out now looking clean, as white as snow. And the bottom line is, yeah, you've been in the middle of it for a long time. And speaking of that, what do you think about Biden stepping down? 81 years old and wanted to run for another 4-year term. Give me your thoughts on how old. Look at Trump. He's 78 now. J.D. Vance, as we'll talk about later, he's 40. So if you average their age, 80 and 40, you get 60. And Kamala's 59 and her running mate is 60. But we'll get all into that. But what do you think about Biden? 81 years old, wanting to run for 4 more years.
Oh well, I just think that's just the way the world is, particularly white men. They don't want to give up power. They don't have no desire to give up power. Jamil, you could put it on full shot. White men just want to stay in charge of everything. They're retired from 2 jobs, getting Social Security, getting pension, getting all of that, and they still crave. I mean, you got people that I know of that's trying to retire at 65.
Yes, you want to get somewhere you still enjoy life.
You want to get away from that job.
Well, Biden's already a millionaire. I mean, that's the thing. It's not the money. It's definitely the power.
It's the power. It's the power. And those same group of white males, they want to go ahead and tell women what y'all can do with your body. Those same group of white men want to be able to just be in charge. Some of them look like they sleepwalking. They look so bad. But you don't want to give this up. And why they don't want to give it up?
Well, that's why I'm laughing, is because when you said sleepwalking, I can't think of anybody but McCorkle. You remember, let me get his name right. He was standing there and he froze. He couldn't even keep talking. He was just completely out of it. And they would all run up and try to, sir. I mean, his brain had just died on him. Mitch McConnell. That's what I'm trying to think about. He froze. But he's still in power. He's still making decisions. He's still in charge. But he can't even hold himself upright.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at Biden, when he was climbing the airport stairs and fell up the stairs 4 times. And if you watch him walk across the grass, he has what we call the old person's head movement. In medicine, when you're looking at potential for falls, and when someone's ability for balance is starting to go bad. If you remember, Biden has been showing signs for a while. When he rode a bicycle, he fell off the bicycle, and they tried to make it no big deal. These climbing up the airport stairs, he fell 4 times going up. Now, falling down, I understand.
Yes.
But falling up means he doesn't have a good sense of depth if you can't step on the next step without falling.
Right. And so, it's good that he stepped down, but it seemed like to me, every last one of them need to step down. That's how I would see that. Y'all done been running this country for a little bit too long, and still nothing has happened.
Well, it's not yet on kill. In other words, so much is going on that frightens me. If you just talk about the war, Netanyahu, who is also almost 80 years old, is killing Palestinians and just desiccating and starving people and being justified. And you can't say anything. If you do, it must be because you hate Jews. No, I hate what you are doing. Yes. I hate to see children starving. I hate to hear about hospitals being bombed, So that's frightening, that the Muslim world is slowly holding the grip. And I'm saying, okay, it's going to be World War III if the retaliation for the deaths people start, and we're busy negotiating, but meanwhile sending more bombs, sending more planes.
Right. That's right.
And then I don't even get the Russia-Ukraine thing. I've never caught on. If a state wants to secede from this nation, isn't that what you do?
America, yeah,
it's what happens. But here it is, Russia says, no, you can't leave. And meanwhile, Ukraine is getting money, over 60 billion, probably close to twice that now, plus planes, and meanwhile, we're going to be friends with Putin. It's like, wait. So I'm going to be beating up your kid in your house, but I'm still your friend.
Yeah.
You and I can go for coffee and lunch,
yeah.
and then I'm going to come and beat your kid on your doorstep.
You
see, I don't figure that out. Yeah. I don't know the dynamics. But back to politics, because this is all being inherited with the upcoming new president. Because Biden, as we said, stepped down, so he's not going to stay under any circumstance.
Right.
And it's going to be the Kamala or your favorite Donald Trump. So let's talk about each candidate. I did a little homework. This was fun. Things you may or may not know.
Right, okay.
Kamala Harris is the age of 59. I don't know when it's her birthday. She graduated from Howard University. That's HBCU in D.C. area, for those who don't know. HBCU, Historical Black College University, meaning black people administratively are in charge. She then got her law degree from University of California. Now, I skipped over and said, wait, you started her going to college. How about when she was born? She's born to a woman from India, so that's the Asian part, and her father was from Jamaica. So that's the black part. Father and mom were not a unit, so she grew up in the household with her mother and all the culture that goes with her mother, and that's why you hear Trump talking about, is she Asian, is she black? She has a younger sister. Did not know she had a younger sister, but she does. And she met her now husband, who is Jewish, on a blind date. She was 49 at the time, and he was 49 at the time. He was coming out of a marriage. He had been married to a Jewish woman for 16 years. They had 2 children. Now, rumor is, why did she divorce him? I couldn't find to prove it, but it says that Douglas Craig Imhoff impregnated his nanny.
Well,
that's the lady taking care of his children.
Okay. Well,
and that's why his wife divorced him.
Oh, that's the same thing.
Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah, and Maria. I mean, that's the same thing. That was the key point.
Yes. So, can't verify that, but that's what the story is. And he was introduced to Kamala. I don't know if they say Kamala or Kamala. I don't want to be offensive. But they were introduced on a blind date. And he said it was love at the first sight.
Yeah.
So they were married in 2014, but a lot of people don't know that they were married by her younger sister. Now, I don't know if that was a civil wedding or something religious. They didn't identify what type of wedding it was. But the younger sister, who grew up or was born in Illinois, was raised in San Francisco, and has lived in Montreal. And the net value, we're talking about all these millionaires and billionaires, Kamala and her husband are worth $5.8 million.
$5.8 million. Okay.
So they're just middle class, poor people.
Okay.
My comment being, when you have that kind of riches, can you really have the emotion for someone who's trying to feed a family on minimum wage or less than minimum wage?
I know being black, I could.
But your black isn't Asian and Jamaican. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Because skin color doesn't give you the culture, is my point. I mean, I'll be very plain. That if you grow up in the South, or you grow up in an area where income is low and resources are low. I mean, I can just speak of Alexandria, Louisiana. They talk about food deserts.
Yes.
You know, there's places in the city where there's no grocery store, that if you want to buy something, it would have to be in a Dollar General or a Dollar Tree. You can't go and talk about fresh fruit. A caller came in and asked about different foods.
Yes.
There are very few fresh foods that you can access that you know is wholesome to eat. So moving back to our political. So that's the Sterling Kamala, her husband. And when they said, does she have any children? Well, she married at 49. She's been married 10 years. She married in 2014. And they say stepchildren because her husband has two.
Right. Yes. Caller, you have a question or comment? You're on. Caller, you're on.
Yes, hello?
Yes, you have a question or a comment? You're on.
Yeah. I was the guy who had called right before the first show.
Yes.
And so I called back. You asked me to call back.
Yes, sir.
To answer my question.
Yes, sir. You want to...
No, I did address the marginalization,
Yes.
and I defined what, for the audience, what marginalization would be. And I concur that the law mandating 80% of the sentence to be served acts to continue marginalizing or making it even more extreme, that families, and unfortunately many black families, will be without the male figure in their home. So I'm totally in agreement with that assessment, and we did briefly mention that at the beginning of this hour.
Okay, yeah, I think I caught some of it at the new show.
Okay.
Once again, I'm enjoying the show, and I usually like to let people know what's going on my platform. But my question now, since it seems we move exclusively to the political side, and it's really not my arena, but how could you not be involved when we have an agenda like that that's looming, and that agenda is for the first 100 days of the new presidency, the plans that they are going to implement. And based on my research, which is limited but pretty effective, that the Republican Party has done this before. They are very efficient in these agendas, and they usually execute about 67% of what's ever written. So people have access to the agenda so they can know what's coming. But like I said, I'm reiterating, what I like to do is, if I do shocking off, which is listening to you two women explain what's going on in Louisiana is frightening. The prospect of what's in front of us. I still would like to know what kind of remediation solutions, or what advice or suggestions do you have to get people to be able to sustain themselves, to still be productive and progressive, even in a climate like that.
Okay.
You still
Try
on?
to give people some type of solution of how to protect themselves and prepare themselves for sustainability. So I'll ask the same question to you.
Okay.
Okay, excellent. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, caller.
Yes, I think that the gravity of his question is big. It looms. That it is important that we first understand the problem, and then we can start looking at a solution. There is no immediate one answer to that. Part of what we hit upon in the last hour was we black people react to something after it has happened. You know, we were talking about Michael Brown, we were talking about George Floyd, we were talking about, but then in the beginning of the show, when we looked at Sheila Jackson Lee, she went to work in Congress and got different acts implemented. And that is how you change the energy, if you like. You make people aware, and then you start to establish some kind of political change. And the real answer is having people like Sheila Jackson Lee, and I'm glad we commemorated her because she put forth like Juneteenth as a holiday, and she did go and fight for various women's rights. So there is no immediate answer. There's not like I can tell some young person go do X, Y, and Z, and then your future's rosy, and you don't have to worry about anything else that's going to be prejudicial or white on black crime. But moving on to talk about the political arena, because we're faced with a major decision. We talked about 2025, and that would be if Donald Trump got in. So let's keep introducing who the Democrats are. We've established Biden's out.
Right, Biden's out.
Kamala went to an all-black school, undergraduate. She got a law degree in California. She married a Jewish man. She has born no children, but she has 2 stepchildren. Their household value is $5.8 million. So there's Kamala. Now, let's talk about Tim Walz. What do you know about him? Have you know anything? I did a little research. He is 60 years old, so that means Kamala's 60, he's 60. He grew up on a Nebraska farm. He taught high school. He was a football coach. He served, and this was a part I didn't know, 24 years in the military. He was a non-commissional officer in the Army. He did 6 terms in Congress. See, I didn't know he had any congressional background because they don't talk about it. And he and his wife have 2 children, and they got children by in vitro fertilization. So AI, this would be what Vance doesn't want, and this is what a lot of states would make criminal. But he said he and his wife tried for many years. They could not get pregnant, and then this has allowed them to born 2 children, which she carried, but she and he couldn't conceive. Now, the comment I love is they said, why is Waltz good with Kamala? Have you looked at that or thought about it? We got a caller?
Caller, you have a question or comment? You're on.
No, I accidentally, I thought that I had to stay on the phone.
Oh.
But I recognized that you guys had to hang up to continue the show. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes.
No problem.
All right.
All right, thank you.
So the comment I was making is, here we are looking at a presidential election. Well, Waltz, the reason he matched up with Kamala is he appeals to that everyday white man. I'm a regular Joe. He says he goes hunting, but he's not in favor of the automatic weapons.
Right.
So the National Rifle Association, he's okay with it, but he thinks the AK whatevers are outrageous. So he's a moderate in that. What really made me smile was someone was trying to make a dig at his family. And you know what he turned and said? Mind your own damn business. I said, I've been waiting for some common sense. When you see Trump acting stupid and doing that little funny whatever movement he does and wagging his big behind, no, everyone acts like that's normal. No one would just say, grow up. Stop being stupid. No one seems to know how to talk. It's like he's this little spoiled kid or this big bully, and we're all afraid to call him out. But hearing Waltz say, mind your own damn business, I thought, yes, a breath of fresh air.
Yes.
Someone who's not going to pretend that it's okay when it's not.
Right. Right.
So I really think he's refreshing. I don't know his politics. Like I said, I didn't know he was in Congress. I haven't heard much about him. I know he's been a governor, but it's nice to have someone who has the just general reaction, mind your own damn business.
And then with his running mate, James David Vance. He's married. He's been married to
a lady. Well, her mother is from India, and she's a Hindu. Her religion is that's what I'm going to say. Trump wants to say to Kamala, "Are you black? Are you Asian?" Then I want to say to Vance, "Are your children Asian or Christian?" He wants to celebrate this whole thing about Christian, but his wife is Hindu. Did she convert? She's born and raised as a Hindu. That's not Christian. Now you have 3 children with her. So what are your children? So he can't throw a stone at Kamala when his household is essentially what Kamala's household was. Mm-hmm. So it's just strange how, and that was one of the earlier callers saying, what's good for the goose is not good for the gander. You know, I can make fun of you because it's Jamaican and Asian. Well, what about you? You're white American and Asian. Right. What are your children? And you're trying to tout, you got a perfect family and I love you, my children. Okay, but how is that different? Because Kamala has a sister and her mother was Asian and dad wasn't. Your household reflects her household. Mm-hmm. So just strange when you say what's good for one is not good for the other.
Yes, yes.
So let's run down and talk about Mr. Vance since we introduced him.
Okay.
And we'll leave Donald for last.
Oh, okay.
First of all, Mr. Vance had 3 names. Now, when women in America, we change our last name when we get married. And you're saying, well, why would he have 3 names? Well, let me tell you. He was born James Donald Bowman. He was a junior. He's named after his biological father. Mm-hmm. Well, his biological father wasn't very good to the mom, and they separated. So mom finds a new love, and she marries him, and this new man adopts.
Okay.
And he adopts him, and now his name becomes James David Hamill.
Hamill.
So he was Hamill all of his young life, middle school, high school, then he went to the Marines, then he went off to college. All this time he's a Hamill. Mm-hmm. So if you want to investigate his military service, he's a Hamill. But when he went to law school, he decided to change his name to Vance, and that's his mother's maiden name. And so I'm saying if you try to investigate him as a child, he's Bowman. So elementary school's Bowman. If you investigate him high school, college, military's Hamill. And then when he went to law school, he became Vance. Mm-hmm. So he married his wife and took the name of his maternal grandparents or his mother's maiden name. Okay. And that's how he's now Vance. So here's a person with all these scruples, and you can't track him by his name.
That's right. That's right. Well, this is a powerful program as usual. I don't know if we had we got about 4 minutes. So if you wanted to get into the president or whatever you want to
in 4 minutes to summarize Trump. Okay, well, I'll just do a real quick.
The orange turd.
Yeah, orange turd. I had to just use it because that was Stormy Daniels' little nickname, and that he does the spray-on tan. That's why he's orange, for people who are wondering why does he look like that. That's the spray-on tan. But we want to talk a little bit about his present wife. They've been married. She was a mail-order bride.
The one that he's married to
now. Milena. They married in 2005. And I think I mentioned her stylist. They said, she always wears the best clothes. Her stylist is paid $18,000 a month.
What?
To pick out her clothes, to make sure she doesn't gain more than half a pound, make sure her hair and her nails. They pay a stylist $18,000 a month.
Lord, I'm in the wrong profession.
That's what I'm saying. So, if I get up and I think I have a crease, he has come and rubbed that crease out of my face. Anyway, Donald Trump was born in 1946, so he is 78 years old. And he was born where? Jamaica Hospital Medical Center in New York. I said, wait a minute, isn't Jamaica Poor People Hospital?
Yeah.
You were born in Jamaica Hospital in New York? I know people born in Jamaica Hospital in New York. Anyway, that's where he was born. Mm-hmm. He got a bachelor's degree in economics from University of Pennsylvania. It's like, wait a minute, everything's New York, but suddenly he's in Pennsylvania. I ain't getting that.
A bachelor.
His father was in real estate, but the father didn't really want to be in real estate. He was actually a man who liked regular stuff. And in 1971, he gave it to Donald. Now, he skipped over his oldest son. Mm-hmm. Don't understand it. Don't know. There's some bad blood. If you ever see the talk about his niece and whatever, some bad blood in there.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, Donald started the Trump organizations. He started renovating buildings, landscape, the skyscrapers, hotels, and casinos. Wife number 1, Ivana. She was a real pickle. She was from Czechoslovakia. So she had lived, this is funny, she recently died, by the way, July 14th of this year. Says she died from injuries of a fall. And I'm like, how do rich people fall down? Everybody got, they grabbed me under the arm, and anyway, she died from complications of a fall. And guess what, folks? Trump buried her at a golf course in New Jersey. But she had been married to a total of 5 times. So it's just interesting what his story is like. And as we all know, I didn't even go through, he has 34 felony convictions for falsifying business records. Now they're inspecting what happened to $10 million that the Egyptians withdrew. And it said it weighed 200 pounds. They withdrew him at $100. You haven't heard that? That they think he got money from the Egyptians, and William Burr, who at the time was Attorney General, blocked investigation of that. So it's a question of influence of foreign money during his 2016 bid for presidency. And finally, let's talk about our black sister, Michaela Montgomery. You heard about her? She's a black girl who kissed him at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
And he said he wasn't sure he would go home to Milana since he got kissed by Michaela.
Oh. She's out there on his platform talking about, I'm more than this.
Yes, you need to give me more respect. Like, sweetie.
Yeah.
Well, didn't he have Diamond and what was the other one? Diamond and somebody was always in his court. 2 black females.
Yeah.
Silver and Diamond, or Diamond and Star. I forget what their whole names or their monikers were. But there's always somebody black.
Always somebody black. And yeah, they holding the mantle. But yes, indeed, we want to thank everybody for participating. We are glad to see God is new. Sister Jamila said met Brother Shahid. I usually would say Brother Jacob, but I'm not sure exactly what has happened with Jacob. Outstanding